Morning. Have you ever had it when you just find something at home you didn't even know you had? Well, this is that for me. It's a very small bottle, but this is Next Signature Vert. Essentially, I had it in a drawer with like some of my foot creams and stuff, and yeah, I think it was a gift. To be honest, I can't actually remember. I think my mum and dad bought it for me a little while ago. But yeah, it's a 30 ml eau de parfum from Next. Next is a little bit like Zara. They do clothing mainly, but they do have a bit of a fragrance line as well. They've had Next Code Red. It's been around for years, and this is Next Signature Vert. And yeah, just really wanted to try it. I thought, I don't think I've ever really sprayed it before. What's it like? Is it just a generic sort of smell? Is it like a body spray, or is there something a little bit more complex about it? I've had some Next fragrances before, and they've been very good, some of them, some not so good. I had Next Edition, which I really liked, and one called Next Amplify, which was a little bit more in that sort of Bentley for Men vibe. So it was a little bit more boozy. It was very good. But again, a little bit like Zara, they tend to discontinue fragrances quite quickly. So yeah, I thought I'd do a sort of fitness fragrance review on this one. I did say I'd do a Calvin Klein Obsession for Men, which I will do as well. But as I'm wearing a green top, I thought got a bit of a green sort of style fragrance here. Let's give it a review, give them my thoughts, and yeah, just see if it's something that's worth buying. So yeah, I'm really much looking forward to trying it. Like I said, I didn't even know I had it, to be honest with you. It was just sitting in the bottom of a drawer. So yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly have a look, see if I can find any note breakdown for it, give my thoughts on what I can smell, and yeah, we'll just see how it performs today during my run, during my walk to the gym, and then my gym workout. So if you haven't seen this before, I rank them on 5 categories: price, value for money, versatility, compliment factor, projection, and longevity. And we do a couple of tests in between as well. So it'll get a score out of 50 at the end, and yeah, we'll just see how it does. That sun is so low, my cap's basically not working, is it? Thought I'd talk about the sort of scent profile and note breakdown on my run for a change today. So what am I getting? Well, obviously at the top you've got things like bergamot and pink pepper, and I'm definitely getting that peppery, and it's almost like a bit of a generic men's body spray type vibe. But what's quite nice is there's definitely a sweetness. So I've just sort of sniffed my arm while doing it. And I think what's happened is the zestiness you tend to get from things like bergamot is certainly being sort of watered down by those ozonic notes and the cedar, which is giving this sort of modern fougere vibe. It certainly feels more modern. You know, things like Taco Rabanne pour on, those sort of fougere old barbershop sort of smells. This just feels like a modern take on it. It's much sweeter, not as soapy, let's say. And then obviously you've got the sort of dry down, like things like musk and vetiver and the moss. And the moss, you're definitely getting that oat moss does give that green vibe, which takes you back into that, where it just makes it that fougere type fragrance. But yeah, it's definitely more of an entry level type smell. But yeah, I think it's quite complex. Everything feels really well blended together. Generic, pleasant, but I am detecting most of those notes. And yeah, maybe even the sort of aromatic scent from the rosemary. I don't think I would have mentioned it if I didn't see it on the note breakdown, but it's all very nice. Anyway, let's start talking about price and value for money. Apologies for the traffic this week. Obviously it's back to school, so as you can tell, a lot of cars going by in the rush hour time. So price and value for money, well, you would have seen I have the 30ml, but you get 100ml as well. And you're only going to really get this on the Next website. You can get it on eBay as well, but they do ship abroad. I couldn't see these fragrances on this sort of Next US website, but again, if you look on eBay and stuff, you'll get them. So 30ml is about £12, 100ml is about £18. That's quite sort of standard for prices on websites like Zara, Next, River Eye, and those sort of clothing brands. You don't really get these on discount websites. Do I think that's good value for money? Yeah, I do. Because this is, and we'll talk about it obviously next, this is just a sort of safe, versatile scent. Now, I want to talk about the scent quality here, because this is where I think price and value for money matters most. Does it smell really more expensive? That does it smell like a £30-40 fragrance? No. I think in terms of that price range, it kind of is that. It's just like a slightly, I really hate to say this, but it does have that body spray sort of smell, but with a sort of fruity sweetness. And even though it is generic, it's not really natural. You know, I don't think it's like a natural bergamot that's really nice, bright citrus, or
you know, anything like that. You know, when you have like a aqua de palm, you just get that quality. This does feel like synthetic sort of chemicals, but it's well blended and it's not harsh or aggressive. It's not that synthetic, you go, oh, it's too strong, I can't deal with that. You know, it's a nice sort of musk, it's a nice vetiver. The cedar's nice. It doesn't feel like all the notes are individual, you know, that they're competing against each other. It feels like they've really blended nicely. And it's just created this very pleasant, generic sort of masculine smell with the woodiness. And that's absolutely fine. This is what these sort of things are for. This is a clothing brand mainly at the end of the day. So I can't really fault it too much for that. And for that reason, I think you're certainly getting what you pay for. I think if you're someone who just wants to get into fragrance and just wants something safe to start with, this will do it. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's a nice day. I'm feeling in a good mood. I think it deserves that. So yeah, we'll go on to versatility now. So yeah, versatility. This is, as I mentioned, a sweet green, woody type fragrance, which is obviously designed to be worn by men. Now, how suitable is it for different seasons? Well, I think it's perfect. It's an eau de parfum, but it's not super strong. So I think this is fine for the sort of the gym. It's nothing, you know, it's not going to really kick off your skin. It's going to keep you smelling clean. Yeah, you might want it to be slightly more aquatic, but you can detect those ozonic notes, which again has certainly toned down and watered down those fruity notes in it, those really zesty notes. So yeah, it's absolutely fine for that. Again, that means you can wear it in the summer. A morning like this morning is where I think it's doing best. It's quite, there's a cool air, but it's a nice day, and it's just a very casual scent. But this will thrive in things like office environments for me. It's not sweet enough maybe for something like a date night. I think you want something else. But in the day, again, a casual office scent, going out for a lunch, and just one, if you just wanted one fragrance just to do everything, that's what it will do. I think it's definitely more targeted towards people getting into fragrances, but I think young and old can wear this. Woody notes certainly suit an older person. The freshness certainly suits a younger person. And it's not going to wow you. It's not about that. This is for someone who maybe just doesn't really even, they're not really into fragrances like that. They just want something safe that's clean and safe, and nobody's going to sort of say anything bad about it. So yeah, it does everything. It's not going to kick through the cold. I don't think it's going to be great in that cold weather. And yeah, obviously it's targeted towards men, so I'm not going to mark it down for not being unisex. Do I think a woman could pull this off? Yes, but I think that pepperiness will be too much for some women. And again, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. It's not for them. So all in all, I think it's best in transition seasons. It's very safe, very generic, but very pleasant. And I think for most people who just want a fragrance to do it all and don't want to spend a lot of money, that's absolutely fine. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 10, which is quite big, I know, but I can't fault it. There's nothing I can knock it down on. You know, you're just getting it. It just does everything. It's a dual fragrance, and that's why this sort of scent profile, that sort of fougere scent profile, is so popular in men. And this is just a nice sort of modern, more aquatic take on it, which is in line with sort of modern Dior Sauvage type notes. So yeah, very happy with it. Right, feeling quite good this morning. Get this done, and we'll then talk about projection and if I'm noticing the smell during my run at all. All the cars have gone now, stopped talking, typical. At least it's not windy. But yeah, this is a great job interview scent as well, by the way. Also, I didn't wear it the other day, or Fico di Amalfi. But just to add to that versatility, I'd quite happily have it for that as well. So if anyone has got any sort of meetings or networking events or interviews, this isn't a bad shout. Right, 5 miles done, 6 to go.
Okay, so run done, as you can tell. Only just got back in because my glasses still haven't reacted. Feels like the middle of the night. So it's time for the room spray test before I talk about projection while having a tea. If you haven't seen this before, essentially, spray my room about 10 times, go down, have a drink, 10 minutes goes by, and I'm just going to see how much this has filled up the room. So yeah, I'll talk about my projection while I'm down there. How did it perform during my run? And yeah, give my overall thoughts so far before we give a score. So we got vanilla chai tea again today. Very nice. So, how did Next Signature Vert perform on my run? Well, to be honest, for the first 40 minutes, pretty well. I could smell it quite a lot. And then probably after that, for the last sort of 45 minutes, it was less I was kind of like sort of rubbing my nose, like just like that. Couldn't really smell it at all, to be honest. But it is still there. It's still lingering on my sort of clothes a little bit. But yeah, you'd want to sort of reapply now. But I am quite sweaty, to be honest with you. So it's no surprise it's worn off. So it's not a sort of expensive, high quality fragrance, but it is an eau de parfum. So I think it will linger on your clothes. But nobody's going to particularly notice it by that stage. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Again, the notes tend to be a little bit lighter anyway, which makes it suitable for the summer and as a sort of signature scent. So things like bergamot and that, I don't expect them to last as long. So yeah, I'm not too disappointed with that. That being said, I'm not expecting it to do that well in the room spray test. But you never know. The ones this week didn't do too well, let's be honest. The Fico di Amalfi Aqua de Parma and Rhubarb Echolate. Maybe this one will surprise me this time. So yeah, what I'll do, quickly finish this up and then we'll go find out. 10 minutes has gone by. Let's find out. Yeah, so it's not super strong, I'm not going to lie. I can sort of half smell it though. Probably about 30-35%, so that's not too bad. I have to say, probably more than I expected. I wasn't sure I'd smell it at all. So I'm going to say that would probably last about an hour and 10 minutes in a sort of close confined space, which that's absolutely fine. Again, for this sort of type of fragrance, for the sort of profile of it, that's no problem at all. And I know from experience, if you spray these sort of fragrances at lunchtime, you're going to get a bit more of a projection again, which people will notice. So that's not bad at all. So based on that, and based on the fact I could notice it on my run for a decent period of time, let's go 6.5. I think that's fair. It's not amazing. It does exactly the job it says on the tin. And yeah, I don't think you can be too critical of it. However, I know some people will want a little bit more kickoff. And yeah, I think a higher quality scent would do that. But yeah, 6.5, I think that's a pretty fair score. What we're going to do now then, head to the gym. While I walk there, we'll talk about compliment factor, any experiences I've had with Next fragrances in general, this sort of fragrance, and yeah, just see if or if I think it's a compliment getter. Okay then, so compliment factor. What's my experience with this fragrance? Well, I didn't even know I had it until a few hours ago, so as you can imagine, I can't really talk too much about compliments with this one. However, I have had Next fragrances before, and I remember in my first job, I had one that was a very similar bottle to this, but it had sort of a white plastic top rather than the green, and a clear bottom to it. I remember sort of putting it in my bag again because it was 30ml, and one of my colleagues, and the first thing she said, because I sprayed it after my lunch break quite a lot, I must admit, she goes, "Oh, Harry, you smell really nice." Almost like a shock because it was such a strong smell. And again, it's certainly not a wow factor, but it did get noticed. It's probably one of them you want to just sort of top up through the day. But what I would say is I've sort of set terms along the lines of sort of boring, I've said generic, synthetic. And I don't want that to be perceived as a bad thing, because that shouldn't always be seen as a bad thing. I'll give you a biscuit example, as I've got biscuits in my mouth at the minute. A rich tea biscuit. I love a rich tea biscuit, but it looks a bit boring, doesn't it? It's very plain. It's just a brown biscuit. It's not as appealing. It's not as nice as sort of a chocolate caramel digestive, for example. However, I still like it. I like it just to dunk in a cup of tea. Sometimes you can add it. You can put it into crumbs and then put it in cakes and whatever. And I'm still very happy with that rich tea biscuit. And that's what I see with this fragrance. It's versatile. Yeah, it's boring. Yeah, it's generic, synthetic, sort of, it doesn't smell overly expensive, but it's still very pleasant, and people will still like it for that reason. Sorry, super bright. People will still like it for that reason, and that's why there's so many of these types of fragrances. So for that reason, I think it will get compliments. I think you're going to have to reapply because I don't think it's super strong. But it's a decent fragrance. It's well put together. It's versatile. It'll do all those jobs. And again, sometimes there's nothing wrong with just smelling clean. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 7.5 for compliment factor. Of course, we'll always, as I say, bump up to a 10 for getting it at the gym. But I don't expect I will today. It's really warm though. It feels like summer's coming back again. Okay, so workout done. Almost time to have a shower, but yeah, no compliments. I can still smell the fragrance. Obviously, I need to judge it once I've had my shower for longevity, but it's become really strange where it's sort of, I don't know if it's the sweat or just my skin chemistry, it's become much more peppery again. Much more green peppery, which I quite like actually, but yeah, that fruity aquaticness has definitely worn off now, and it's very pleasant though, very pleasant. But let's see if it survives the shower.
So I left the gym a little while ago actually. It's been about 3.5 hours since I applied it. It's nearly 12:30. So can I still smell the fragrance? Has it survived the shower test? Not bad. I'd probably say it's about 35 to 40% as strong as when I left. So when it's nearly 4 hours since I applied it, that's not bad. If I had that on my neck, for example, I may not necessarily need to reapply that, especially if I've just been sitting in an office or, not doing any exercise. It's not as hot a day. So that's pretty good for a fragrance that's £12 for 30ml, £18 for 100ml. And it's just, as I said, so versatile. So you don't need to sort of worry about, it not being suitable for certain environments, things that you might be doing in the day that you're not expecting, and it's never going to really offend anyone. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not disappointed with that at all. Someone cutting the grass in there, by the way. Yes, how dare that person in the park cutting the grass, really working hard, interrupted my video where about 6 people are watching. So yeah, just going back to, I think the notes I'm detecting from this, in terms of before I give a score on longevity, I'm still getting the vetiver and the oat moss, and the fact it's an oat parfum concentration, I think it's just meant it's stuck that little bit longer, and that's why I'm getting that slight extra sort of longevity to this. So with that all being considered, yeah, it's definitely that vetiver. It's definitely that sort of grassy green I'm getting. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think for £18, I think it's the last half a day at least while doing, workout in quite warm temperature. That's not bad at all. And I think for me, if I'm sort of looking at that price range for an entry-level spray, that's more than good enough. So I think 8 out of 10 is a very, very fair score. Right, nearly back now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have something to eat, and then we'll add up all the scores and I'll give my final thoughts.
Finally back home. So I have managed to do 35,700 steps today, about 6 hours of exercise, all while wearing Next's signature Vert. So yeah, the overall score it got today, I can't believe I'm saying this, I was annoyed to say it, it actually did get over 40, got 40.5, which is more than some of the fragrances I've reviewed recently, like a Fico D'Amalfi. So it's done very, very well, basically. But in some ways, I am quite glad it's got that score as well. Now, obviously, this is a much better scent. I appreciate that. But it's not about what I think. And obviously, this is a little bit more unique. And, the quality of the scent is something I really like. But it's about what works for everyone. And I've just got to be very honest on the scores. And those scores today, this absolutely deserved it. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Yes, it's generic. Yes, it's got that bit of body spray vibe. It's synthetic. It's not really high quality. It's not the best before. It's not going to be a standout, show off fragrance, but it does the job. And that is why there are so many of these types of fragrances out there. There's a reason why these scent profiles and your Dior Sauvages do well, because they're just mass pleasing and they're okay and they're suitable for so many situations. And that's exactly what this is. It's suitable for so many situations. That's why it's done so well. It's suitable for younger and older. Just going to smell it again. And it's got that nice sweetness, which is like a modern fougere. So yeah, you can't go wrong with this. I don't think you're going to offend anyone. I don't think it's going to leave any sort of real memory, scent memory for you, but it'll do the job interviews, lunches, and just one scent that could do all. There you go. Next signature. Very, very good. So yeah, well done, Next. In terms of reviews sort of coming up, so I did say I was going to do Calvin Klein Obsession for Men, which is here. So yes, I will do another fitness fragrance review this week with that one as well. So definitely on my list to do. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Very surprised it got that score. I didn't even know I had it 12 hours ago. So yeah, I've used that fragrance today, and it's been really pleasant on my run. I've really enjoyed wearing it. I'm going to wear it for the rest of the day as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. More fragrance videos to come, and yeah, I hope you'll join me for them. So yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you later.